A number of you will be joining as officers of the Indian Army, a great professional army.
So Sam, tell me about the beginning of the Bangladesh war, the Mukti Bahini.
Oh, Pakistan had really cracked down in a big way. The poor old Bengalis, what could they do against the Pathans and Punjabi Muslims and the army? So they started pouring it into India. And Mrs. Gandhi, in an awful temper, looked at me and read out messages from the Chief Minister of West Bengal that thousands of refugees have poured in, from the Chief Minister of Assam, the Chief Minister of Tripura. And she looked at me and said, "What are you doing about it?" "Nothing. What's it got to do with me?" She said, "I want you to do something." I said, "What do you want me to do?" She said, "I want you to march into East Pakistan." I said, "That means war." So she said, "I don't mind if it's war." So I said, "Oh, have you read the Bible? God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And you say, 'Let there be war,' and there was war. Are you ready?" "I certainly am not." Then I said, this was about 23rd of April. I said, "You know, the Himalayan passes are opening, and if the Chinese give us an ultimatum," and I said, "The monsoon will be breaking in a few days' time, and when it rains in that part of the world, it pours. Rivers become like oceans. If you stand on one bank, you can't see the other. My movement will be confined to roads. Because of climatic conditions, the Air Force will not be able to support me. And if I were to go in, I guarantee you 100% defeat." I said to Mrs. Gandhi, "Will you now give me your orders?" And then she, "All right, cabinet would meet again at 4 o'clock. So everybody started walking out, I being the junior one. A smile on my face as I was going out. She said, "Chief, stay behind." I said, "Prime Minister, before you open your mouth, shall I send in my resignation on grounds of health, mental or physical?" And she said, "Oh, sit down, Sam, tell me. Everything you told me is the truth?" I said, "Yes, everything I've told you is the truth." I said, "It's my job to fight to win, not to lose." And she smiled at me and said, "All right, Sam, you let me know when you're ready."
What went wrong at Simla?
She went there and Bhutto made a complete of her. See, I know I've just taken over from Yahya Khan. If I yield anything just now, they'll throw me out. Give me a chance. In 6 months' time, I promise you, we'll settle everything peacefully. She came back and she told me, I said, "He's made a monkey out of you." I went to Pakistan about 2 months after the conflict. And they really gave me a first-class welcome. The governor, this was at Lahore, the governor invited me for lunch, gave me a martini before lunch, wines at lunch. And during lunch he said, "General, will you do me a favor?" So I said, "If I can, Mr. Governor, I will." I thought he was going to be asking me about some relation of it. He said, "My staff is outside. They want to shake hands with you." I went out, and there they were all lined up. About the 11th man took his pagri off and put it at my feet. So I picked it up, and I gave it to him. "ये क्यों आपने किया?" कहता, "हजूर, आप थे तो हम बच गए. मेरे 5 लड़के आपके कैदी हैं. उनकी चिट्ठी आती है कि आपने सबको कुरान शरीफ दी. वो लोग बैरक में सोते हैं, आपके जवान बाहर सोते हैं. वो लोग चारपाई पे सोते हैं, आपके जवान ज़मीन पे सोते हैं. आप जब जाते हैं हाथ मिलाते हैं सबके साथ, लंगर में जाके खाना टेस्ट करते हैं. And he turned around, the governor was with me. अब हम कभी नहीं मानेंगे साहब कि हिंदू खराब है. And I got into trouble in my own country. The bureaucrats and the ministers complained about me कि चीफ साहब तो उनको ऐसा रखते हैं कि जैसे उनके जवाई हैं, as if they were my sons-in-law. They complained against me, cabinet meeting, at the meeting. Mr. Gandhi looked at me, I said, Prime Minister, they were soldiers. They fought. They fought extremely well. They lost. And I'm looking after the soldiers. No, I've forgotten all about the war and everything.
Sam, what was your greatest achievement in the army?
Do you know, from the rank of second lieutenant to field marshal, I have never punished a man. My adjutant general, when I was the chief, and my judge advocate general used to get wild. Court martial proceedings would come to me. If they said not guilty, I'd sign. If they said guilty and punished, I'd take the file home, I'll look at it, I'll say, no, I think witness number 3 has lied with the so-and-so thing. And they say, how can we maintain discipline with you as the army chief? You're not punished. How can you damn chaps sit in Delhi with your wives and your children in lovely homes, and you forget what those chaps are going through? I couldn't go anywhere when people would ask, General, when are you taking over? One evening at 4 o'clock in my office, I was having tea when Mrs. Gandhi rang up. She was in Parliament House. And she rang up and said, Sam, are you very busy? And I said, Prime Minister, the army chief is always busy, but never too busy to talk to his Prime Minister. She said, can you come over? And I said, I'm having tea here. She said, oh, I'll give you tea. I said, I have good tea here, you'll give me muck. He said, oh, come over. So I said, okay. So I got hold of the ADC, I said, the girl wants me. Come on, get the car.
The girl wants me.
They always knew I'd talk like that. So we got into the car, went to Parliament House. She was sitting in her office in a kidney-shaped table. She was an actress, she was sitting down like this. I walked in my breezy way. I said, hello, Prime Minister. You seem worried. What's wrong? She said, I've got problems. So I said, oh, cry on my shoulder. What are your problems? And she looked me straight in the face and said, you are my problem. So I said, now what have I done? Have I made a speech? Have I done something stupid? So I said, what have I done now? She said, everybody says you're going to take over from me. So I said, and what do you think? She says, you can't. And I said, oh, you think I'm so incompetent? I didn't mean that, Sam. You wouldn't. She has a long nose, I have a longer one. I put my nose next to her. I want to tell you, I have no intention or even a thought of getting involved in politics or taking over, as long as I command my army without interference. Okay, I've told you enough about Mrs. Gandhi and myself.
Morarji Desai.
Ah, you want to know about Morarji Bhai.
You've been dying to tell that story, haven't you?
I've got 2 or 3 stories about Morarji Bhai. When I became army chief, Morarji Bhai was the finance minister in Mrs. Indira Gandhi's cabinet. Then he became prime minister. Mrs. Gandhi lost the election, he became prime minister. One day he said, I believe you drink. So I said, yes, I have. You mustn't drink. Very bad for you. So I said, Prime Minister, I come to my Prime Minister, he said, you mustn't drink. I go to a party and I talk to a pretty girl, my wife says, you mustn't talk to her. I'm a field marshal, is life worth living? He says, your wife is quite right. Drinks and pretty girls will ruin you. I said, they haven't ruined me so far. After partition, I became director of military operations, and I remained director of military operations for 3.5 years. I was sent to Kashmir with VP Menon, who was the state secretary. The Maharaja's army had, the Muslim element had revolted, the tribesmen had come in, and I was sent there with him, VP Menon, to see if he can get the accession from the Maharaja, see what the military situation was like. And at about midnight, the Maharaja signed. He kept on saying, you must send soldiers in. He said, we can't send soldiers into your state unless you accede to India. So at midnight he acceded to India. VP Menon handed over the accession papers to Mountbatten. Mountbatten looked at me. He said, Manekshaw. He didn't call him Manekshaw. What's the military situation like? I said, very bad, sir. The tribesmen are busy looting and raping about 9 kilometers away from Srinagar and the airfield. If they once get in, we've lost Kashmir because we won't be able to fly troops in, etc. So he looked at Nehru, and Nehru talked and all, until Sardar Patel lost his temper. He said, Jawaharlal, do you want Kashmir or do you want to hand it over? He said, of course, Kashmir is ours now. So he said, will you issue orders? And before he could issue orders, Sardar Patel said, you have received your orders. So I walked out, and we started flying troops into Kashmir.
What was your relationship with Sardar Patel like?
Sardar Patel was Home Minister, and I had a good relationship with him. Every morning, VP Menon and I would go to his place, and he would be sitting down there. His daughter, Money Ben, sitting cross-legged with a Parker fountain pen, a brown Parker pen, taking notes. And he would say, VP, I want Baroda. Take him with you. I would go as the bogeyman in uniform. When the killings were taking place in Calcutta, by British Commander-in-Chief, he came along and said, hey you, the Sardar wants you in Calcutta. So I said, why me, sir? He said, he phoned, he wants you there. An aircraft has been laid on for you. So I went there. The Sardar was with the Chief Minister, B.C. Roy. When I went in there, he said, I don't want arguments, etc. I'm going to ask you a question, I want an answer. If I hand over the situation to the army, how many Bengalis will you kill and how long will it take you? And I was a very young brigadier. So I opened my mouth. I said, so about 100 in about a month. So he said, turned around to Bidhan Roy, he said, thousands are being killed. He said, go and kill them, take over. And he deployed troops all over Calcutta. We didn't have to kill anybody. Everything finished. He said, come here. And in Gujarati he tells me, "Tame sachu nahi bolo?" So I said, what have I done? He said, "Tame kahlu ki 100 Bengali na marso ne ek bhi nahi maryo." Then he told me, he said, well done, thank you. Then the Chinese came into NEFA, and General Kaul was sacked and Krishna Menon was removed, and Nehru sent for me. Said, I've got a vigorous enemy. will you go and take over? And I said, I've been waiting 18 months for this, Prime Minister. And he said, oh, that was all a mistake. That was all a mistake. Will you go? I said, yes, I'll go. So I took over the thing. And so I always say that the Chinese came to my rescue. If the Chinese hadn't come in, and if Krishna Menon and Kaul hadn't been sacked, I don't know what they would have done with me. I said, I don't want to know what happened in the past. All I want to know is, who are my commanders? Where are the Chinese? How much ammunition have I got? How much oil, petroleum, and food have I got? I just leave the map to be here. Mr. Deeds. After half an hour, I rang the bell. They came in. And I said, I don't know whether I'm doing right or wrong, but these are my orders. And that was the time when the Chief of Staff took his hat off, flung it on the ground, jumped on it. He said, thank effing God, at last somebody is giving orders. We have never had orders before. And my orders were that we start advancing. They were. No, Khanna, Leisure.
So Sam, tell me about when you joined the Gurkhas.
Oh Lord. In the Indian Army, there were 10 regiments of Gurkhas. So when India got independence, like the Pakistan people went to Pakistan, certain regiments went to Her Majesty's Gurkhas and certain regiments remained in India. But there was a treaty between the King of Nepal and the British government that all Gurkha regiments would be officered by British officers. So when the British officers left, there had to be some Indian officers. So I was the first Indian to be posted to a Gurkha regiment. I, having been with the Frontier Force Regiment, now became a Gurkha.
What year was this?
1947. 1947. And I met a Gurkha sentry. I looked at him and I said, asked him, "Tera naam kya hai?" And he said, "Har ka Bahadur Guru." Then I looked at him, "Mera naam kya hai?" And he thought and he said, "Sam Bahadur." I became Sam Bahadur.